What's going on, everyone? Your mom's favorite YouTuber, KKS here, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be making my NBA playoff predictions. At the time I am making this, it is during the first game right here. You can see up here, the Heat and Bucks are at halftime. It's a three-point game. So, basically the start of the playoffs. Um, but this might come out a bit later, who knows? But for now, I'm just gonna make my predictions and hope I do better than last year. Last year I struggled a bit. I said the Lakers and Bucks would be in the finals, with the Bucks winning. However, that did not happen. But this year I have better faith in myself. I think this is an easier bracket to predict. So let's get to it. First off, let's start with the Western Conference. So we got the Jazz and the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies doing a great job last night, to beat the Warriors. Ja was excellent. And even though Valanciunas fouled out, the Grizzlies still found a way. But against Utah, Utah's a much better team than Golden State. I think Utah is going to come out on top. In how many games? I don't think it's a sweep, but I don't think it's a seven-game series. It's got to be five or six. I think five. I think the Grizzlies win a home game, facing elimination, but Utah pulls it out once they're back at home. Um, Clippers Mavericks. I think the Clippers are one of the best teams in the NBA. Despite being the four seed, I think they're the best team in the West, honestly. Um, but I think they beat the Mavericks, rematch of last year, and I don't think they sweep. But I think it'll be in five as well. I don't think the Mavericks are gonna be able to keep up with them this year. The Clippers last year weren't great, but they still beat the Mavericks in six. This year they're much better. I think they win in with one less game. The Nuggets and Trailblazers. I think this is the second biggest marquee matchup in the West, behind the Lakers and Suns. But Jamal Murray's out. The Nuggets still rolled without him, but the Blazers are probably the hottest team in basketball right now. I'm pretty sure to end the season they had the number one net rating in the NBA, and a large part of that is because they've been playing excellent defensively. Portland has been known to have a horrible defensive team the last few years, but down the end of the road after they traded for Norman Powell, got players back to health, they've been hot, and I think they beat the Nuggets, but I think it's going to be a seven-game series. Um, Nikola Jokic is probably going to win MVP this year. He's not going to go down without a fight, and the last Nuggets Trailblazers series was a thriller. Seven-game series, came to the last shot. There was even a quadruple overtime in there. Don't remember which game it was. All I remember is Portland won that, and I think they win this series as well. And moving on to the Suns and Lakers, another very good series. I think this is my most difficult prediction to make because despite the seeding looking like that, the Lakers are not the seventh best team in the Western Conference. I can tell you that. If LeBron and Anthony Davis play all seven games of this series, and yes, I'm saying it'll go to seven games, if they play, of course, then I think the Lakers win. I honestly think the Lakers win in seven. If Anthony Davis and LeBron James play, um, then I think they'll be fine because Anthony Davis has struggled all year. I mean, offensively, he hasn't been as good as he was last year or what he was when the Lakers won the championship, but as of late, he's caught on fire. And LeBron coming off the momentum of that game-winning shot against the Warriors, I think they come out on top against the Suns. So that's the first round in the West. Now, on the right side, we have the Eastern Conference. And it starts off with the 76ers and the Wizards. Um, and yeah, the Wizards, they're pretty good. They did a great job to end the season, and get themselves into the play, and not only the play-in, but as a eighth, they finished eighth, so they got that extra game. They lost to the Celtics, of course, but then they came out and dominated the Pacers. But the 76ers are going to be too tough a task. I think Westbrook and Beal can win a game or two. I think Philly in six though. And I don't think Joel Embiid is going to be troubled too much. But I think Philly wins the first two. Washington gets the third. Philly wins the next one, and then Washington saves one, facing elimination, and then Philly closes it out the next game. Knicks and Hawks. This is also one of the more difficult ones to predict. And it's because both these teams, I believe, are underrated. You know, the Knicks, I think, have the best defense in the NBA. The Hawks are one of the most talented teams, um, and one of the younger teams as well. And it's a tough one, and I feel bad for going against the Hawks, but it's got to be the Knicks, and I think the Knicks win it in six. I don't think it goes to seven. I think Julius Randle is the most improved player of the year, and I don't think Trey Young is going to be enough to beat this Knicks team because they're very good. Um, and the next series, I think the most interesting series in the East, the Bucks and the Heat rematch of last year. The Heat made it to the NBA Finals largely due to the fact that they were able to beat the Bucks, but this is a different Bucks team. They have Drew Holiday, elite defender, one of the best in the NBA, and I think the Bucks win this. And I have them winning in six. Yeah, we'll go Bucks. No, that's a tough one. It could be anywhere between five and seven, honestly. It just depends on how Giannis plays. And I think Giannis is gonna be on one. So yeah, we'll go Milwaukee in six, but I'm not too sure about the games. I feel confident that Milwaukee will win this one though. I don't think Miami is gonna be good enough to get it done this time. And then the Nets and the Celtics, I have to go Brooklyn in four. This is my only sweep in the first round. And I just don't see Boston winning a game unless Tatum has another 50-point game. Who knows? But if the big three are healthy, I don't see Brooklyn losing one. So the second round, we've got some cool matchups here. I had all the favorites winning, honestly, other than this bottom left part of the West. But moving on, the Utah Jazz versus the Clippers. This is going to be a very fun series to watch. Um, I think two of the best teams in the West. Utah has been solid all season long. That's why they have the one seed. And it's going to be tough to take a game away from the Jazz at home, but I think the Clippers take game two. Jazz take game one. The Clippers win both games at home, make it 3-1. Utah wins one at home, makes it 3-2. But I think ultimately the Clippers will win it in six, and they won't lose a home game because they can't afford to lose a home game. They lose a home game, that means they'll likely be getting Utah. Um, they'll either lose to Utah before Game 7 or they'll be playing against the Jazz at home in Game 7. And the Jazz at home is not a team you want to play. But, anyways, the other matchup in the West, the Trailblazers and the Lakers. This is going to be a very fun series to watch as well. But I think the Lakers come out on top. Again, LeBron and AD are healthy. The Lakers win, and I think they win in six. Last year they won in five. But that was partly due to the fact that Damian Lillard got injured, I think game three. Um, and also the Trailblazers just have a better team now than they did last year, but I don't think it's going to be enough to beat the Lakers. And then going back to the Eastern Conference, 76ers versus the Knicks. This is an interesting one because as great as the Knicks are, the 76ers are a very good team as well, and you have to be a very good team to hold off the Nets for the number one seed. So I think the 76ers win, which is what most people expect, but I'm thinking it goes to game 7 and I think it's going to be a hard-fought game 7. And the Knicks are going to be very well respected by teams around the NBA if they aren't already with the performance they'll put in this series, but I think Philly manages to pull it off barely. And the Bucks and Nets, two championship contenders, I believe. Um, it's going to be a very good series as well. I think it goes to 7 games. A lot of people don't think it will, but I have Brooklyn winning in 7. So Giannis gonna is gonna be as good as he's ever been in these playoffs. But I mean, even though Milwaukee had the better of the Nets in the regular season, two of those games I believe were with Harden out, and the other one I don't remember. But I don't think Brooklyn was at full strength. But if they're at full strength, they will beat the Bucks. And then going to the conference finals, in the Western Conference, we have the four versus the seven. Not often you see that, but I think these are the two best teams in the West. I mean, it's hard to find a better duo than LeBron and Anthony Davis, when healthy, of course. All of this, by the way, is contingent upon the Lakers staying healthy, the Nets staying healthy. They haven't shown the ability to do that this season, but you know, I don't see any reason as to why anybody on the Nets will be injured. I think they're all pretty as close to 100% as they've been all season. And same with the Lakers. They're not 100%, but I think they're at a good enough level to be able to beat the Suns and the Blazers. But I don't think they beat the Clippers, and it's got to go to 7 games this battle at Staples Center. But I think the Clippers win, and it's not because I think they're better than the Lakers. I think the Lakers have a better team. It's just that they're more stable than the Lakers are. Last year, the Lakers were the more stable team, with the Clippers, I believe, having so many games lost due to injuries to Pat Beverly, Paul George, Kawhi load managing, a few of their other players as well. But the Lakers were pretty solid and consistent all season long. And this year, I see it as kind of the opposite. I see the Clippers being that more stable team who have been able to get these like 5, 10, 15 games in a row with the same, almost same group of guys. And not too much drama has been surrounding them this season as there was last season. But I think they beat the Lakers just simply because they're the more stable, consistent team. And it's going to be hard fought, but I don't see the Lakers pulling it off, especially after the difficult path they had to go through the Suns, to go through the Blazers, and then now to play the Clippers. That's what they played 13 games before this point, and the Clippers played 11. But against, I believe, worse teams. I believe Phoenix is better than Utah, and I believe Portland's better than Dallas. But it is what it is. Going on to the East, Philly against Brooklyn, the one versus the two. I honestly, did I pick a single upset? I did not. Based on seeding, I did not pick a single upset in the East. But that's gonna change because I'm picking the Nets to win this in seven. Um, Actually, no, not in seven. I think they win in six. I mean, I think Milwaukee's better than Philly, so I think they give themselves a better chance to beat Brooklyn. But I mean, Philly had to play again 13 games to get to this point, while Brooklyn played 11. People underestimate how much the pathway to a certain series matters. Last year, the Heat, the main reason why they got to the finals was because they dealt. Wait, am I saying this right? Okay, let me restart. They did their job. All right, there we go. They did their job against the Pacers. They won in four. And then the next series they beat the Bucks in five, and so they went up against the Celtics after only playing 11 games. Well, the Celtics, what they swept the Sixers, and then they went to a hard-fought 7-game series versus the Raptors. Although they played, yeah, so they played 11 games, while the Heat played four. Then five. Yeah, the Heat played 9 games. Did I say 11 before? I don't know, but the Heat played 9 games and the Celtics played 11, and so that ultimately is what I believe got the Heat over the hump. Also, they were a slightly better team in my opinion, but I mean, if you switch those pathways, I think Boston would have been the team to go to the finals. But regardless, here we are. Clippers versus the Nets in the finals. Kawhi and Paul George versus Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. And it's a tough one to predict, but I just have to go with the Clippers. I mean, the same argument I made with the oops, let me scroll down. Same argument I made with the Lakers. The Nets have missed way too many games with Kyrie, KD, and Harden. They have not played enough games together. The Clippers have been a much more stable team. I believe they have more depth than the Nets, very slightly, although. And I think the Clippers win it in seven. The Clippers have just done everything right this season. In the regular season, in the playoffs, they have, I think, the easiest pathway in comparison to the Lakers, Nets, Bucks, Sixers, and the other final contenders. And I think that's all going to be very important. And I think it's a slight upset for me picking the Clippers, but it part of me, my head says Brooklyn will win this, but my gut tells me that the Clippers will win this. And I gotta, if I go with the Nets and it ends up being the Clippers, then I won't forgive myself. So I'm going with the Clippers. But I would not be surprised if they even get knocked out to the Lakers or if the Nets win the championship or anything. But it's just the Nets and Lakers resemble too much of the last year Clippers. And this year the Clippers are a much improved team, and I think they win the finals. So yeah, kind of a bold prediction, but um, you know, you got to go big or go home. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please like the video. Please subscribe for more. I'm gonna start uploading a bit more now that summer has started. And yeah, thank you all for watching. And also comment down below what your predictions are, who you think will win. Do you agree with me, disagree with me? I'm sure more people will disagree than agree. But yeah, I hope to see you all next time.